Good evening. This is Eswatini-TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by myself, Natile Sitole, alongside Namakabiso Nkambule. First up, here's a look at our headlining stories. The acting Prime Minister led Eswatini government's delegation during a political dialogue with the European Union. Eswatini has been elected to be part of the governing body of the International Labour Organization in the SADC region. The Minister for Health says the National Health Research Conference plays a major role in improving future response and informed planning and resource allocation in addressing challenges. And now the news in detail. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini and the EU on the 14th of June 2021 held a political dialogue reaffirming their commitment to Article 8 of Cotonou Agreement. The dialogue covered areas including political and legislative matters, judicial independence, climate change commitments, trade and economy, investment, business environment, and development cooperation issues. The meeting, which was held virtually, was attended by Acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku, government ministers, EU member state ambassadors, and senior representatives of the EU.
The parties reiterated their commitments to the shared values of their partnership based on, amongst other things, rule of law and respect of human rights as stipulated by the Art of the Cotonou Agreement. The EU pledged support to the Kingdom of Eswatini to overcome the consequences of the pandemic. The Kingdom of Eswatini provided updated information on its report for the upcoming Universal Periodic Review process. Several bills pertaining to media and freedom of expression were also discussed. The experience of the EU member states, including in the area of fighting disinformation, was found to be of particular relevance for the Kingdom of Eswatini. The EU commended the government of Eswatini for the implementation of the Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Act and encouraged the government to step up efforts in the area of education and training of law enforcement agencies to curb the scourge of violence against women and children. The exchange also focused on the rule of law in the country, the accountability of government, and the proportionate use of force by law enforcement agencies. Between 2014 and 2020, the EU allocated more than 1.8 billion emalangeni for the Kingdom of Eswatini. The EU programs currently implemented are aligned with Eswatini's development plans and support some of the economic reforms the government considered fundamental for the country's economic recovery. These programs will, among other things, facilitate the integration of workers, micro-entrepreneurs or smallholders into the local, regional or global value chains and support the setting up of a state business relations secretariat. The EU encouraged Eswatini to stand by its climate commitments and steer towards renewable energy resources. For the EU budgetary cycle 2021-2027, the parties have jointly identified potential sectors to receive EU support: green economy, development of human capital focused on youth, and good governance with the focus of digitalization. These sectors reflect both Eswatini and EU's priorities and interest. For Eswatini-TV News, Zoto Atlameni, Babane.
Eswatini has been elected to be part of the governing body of the International Labour Organization in the SADC region. Eswatini was chosen during the organization's virtual meeting. Speaking after the meeting at the Royal Science and Technology Park in Pokweni, the acting Minister of Labour, Polile Shakantu, says Eswatini will work towards ensuring the organization attains its goals and objectives.
Eswatini and Cameroon received 212 votes, making them the top two countries voted to the International Labour Organization governing body in the SADC region. The acting Minister of Labour, Polile Shakantu, explains what this means for Eswatini.
The Kingdom of Eswatini has today been elected as a regular member of the International Labour Organization ILO governing body. The Kingdom of Eswatini has been elected together with Cameroon, Rwanda, Morocco, Uganda, and Nigeria to be the 6 countries that will represent Africa in the ILO governing body meetings. We are grateful and thankful to all the members in Africa and other regions who have elected Eswatini as a member of the governing body. We are really delighted as the Kingdom of Eswatini to receive this recognition and also to be able to participate at that level in the International Labour Organization. And it will be a huge task and commitment for the Kingdom of Eswatini, and we look forward to working together with all the other 5 countries that we've been given this task in terms of representing Africa in the governing body.
Eswatini will be in the governing body for 3 years. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Sonto Mlangeni, Pokweni.
The disbursement of grants for the elderly and people living with disabilities will commence on the 17th of this month until the 29th. In a press statement, the Principal Secretary in the Deputy Prime Minister's Office, Makhosini Mdawe, says the disbursement of the grants will start in the Hoho region on the 17th to the 18th and in the Shiseleni region on the 21st to the 23rd of this month. Mdawe says that the disbursement in the Manzini region will start on the 24th to the 25th, and in the Lubombo region, the grants will be disbursed on the 28th to the 29th of this month. The Deputy Prime Minister's Office warns the beneficiaries of the grants to always be on the lookout for swindlers who may try to steal their money. The Principal Secretary made it clear that the office does not exchange money for its services. The Minister for Health, Lizi Nkosi, says the National Health Research Conference plays a major role in improving future response and informed planning and resources allocation in addressing challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister was represented by the Director for Health, Dr. Services, the Director for Health Services, Dr. Vusi Makakula, during the official launch of the National Health Research Virtual Conference.
In a bid to promote conduct of research and providing a forum for sharing, discussing and interpreting local evidence, including translating international evidence to local context, the Ministry for Health, in collaboration with relevant stakeholders, has regularly conducted health research conferences. Speaking during the launch, the Minister for Health, represented by the Director for Health, Dr. Vusi Makakula, says the conference aim is to bring together a broad range of experts, including scientists, economists, policymakers, among others.
The Ministry of Health recognizes that the Eswatini research architecture in all sectors is supported by the Research, Science, Technology and Innovation Department and the Ministry of ICT. It is for that reason that in 2017, for the first time, the Ministry of Health co-hosted the National Health Research Conference with the Ministry of ICT. As the Ministry of Health and ICT, we are excited to announce that this year we will have the 5th National Health Research Virtual Conference scheduled for the 12th and the 13th of August 2021. The theme of the conference is COVID-19, an emerging and evolving public health threat, the role of research. We trust that the conference will bring together a broad range of experts to share global and local evidence or experiences on the pandemic.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Representative Jonathan Dlamini, says they are fully behind the Ministry of Health.
As the Ministry, we are happy to pledge our continued support to this initiative.
The NHRID is expected to be held virtually on the 12th and 13th of August 2021. For Eswatini TV News, Sonto Mlangeni in Babane.
The Ministry of Health has kick-started the campaign of vaccinating health workers against COVID-19, where they are getting their second jab. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, says a schedule has been prepared with vaccination dates in all the regions, which will be distributed to all health facilities. Zwane was speaking during the campaign at Mbabane.
After receiving 14,400 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine from COVAX, Eswatini has started vaccinating healthcare workers with the second dose. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, says healthcare workers will be vaccinated in different stages.
We will prioritize healthcare workers who received the first dose. We will also prioritize healthcare workers who in the first dose had opted out, who now have changed their minds. They say they want to get the AstraZeneca vaccine. So they'll be second in line. If we do have remainder of the 14,400, we will then roll it out to the rest of the population that received the first dose. We do believe, however, that during the course we should have received another batch of AstraZeneca vaccine so that we do continue without any delay. The card that you received during the first dose is very important, that when you come for the second dose, you come with it, you present it to the vaccinators. It has your details, so our system would want to recognize you through that card.
35,227 eMaswati have already received the first dose of the vaccine. The vaccination of the healthcare workers is expected to run until the 22nd of this month. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Sondom Langeni in Babane.
COVID-19 cases are expected to increase in the next month if members of the public do not adhere to COVID-19 regulations and change their behavior. This was said by epidemiologist Vaccination when giving projections of the pandemic in the next few weeks.
The third wave looming and an increase in COVID-19 cases recorded over the past couple of weeks, we talked to epidemiologists in the Ministry of Health about the current status of COVID-19 and the projections in the next coming few weeks. Vaccination, an epidemiologist, says if people do not adhere to the regulations and change behavior, Eswatini might record more cases and deaths.
We are seeing a shift in terms of an increase in terms of the cases. I will recall maybe week 22 compared to week 23, we noted an increase. For instance, in week 22, we recorded 47 cases the entire week, all country, and then in week 23, we recorded 96. So that's kind of a doubling in a way. We have noted that in our projections, we've projected cases to range from 18,726 to 19,200, and we've said in the past that we model under 3 different scenarios to say if transmission is low, this is the outlook. If it is moderate and if it is faster, this is what we are likely to see. So having said that, cases might range from 18,726 to 19,200. We also note that deaths will also increase, because what we've seen over the years, and which is the trend even elsewhere, is that as the number of cases increases, so are the number of deaths. So we've projected values to range, deaths to range rather, from 675 to 692.
He pleads with the Maswati to ensure that even during events, regulations are followed accordingly. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi with Msimis Lushaba Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, says there is still a great need for eMaswati to donate blood as the country's blood bank is experiencing blood shortages, especially to certain types of blood groups. Zwane says the need for blood is universal, although access to blood for all those who need it is not universal.
The Kingdom of Eswatini joins the rest of the world in celebrating World Blood Donor Day. The theme for this year is Give Blood and Keep the World Beating. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simon Zwane, says safe blood and blood products and their transfusion are a critical aspect of care and public health. Zwane says this day is meant to highlight the essential contribution blood donors make to save people's lives. Zwane says the objective of this year's awareness campaign is to encourage eMaswati to embrace the humanitarian call to donate blood and inspire others to do the same. A statement issued by the Minister for Health on this day states that the COVID-19 pandemic interrupted the Eswatini blood transfusion service. The statement continues to say that the donor recruitment and blood collection remains distressed As a result, annual blood collections were only 8,444 units, reduced by half from 15,242 units collected in the year 2019. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni with Nelsi Wendlangamandla in Babane.
The Road Safety Council says it is planning to meet all stakeholders in the transport business to find solutions on the continued rise of accidents in the country's roads. The Education and Communications Officer Thembani Dlamini says there has been a shift in the people involved in accidents, as now more of them are in public transport, yet before it was pedestrians. Dlamini was speaking at her offices in Babane.
In a statement this week, the Royal Eswatini Police said from the 5th to the 12th of this month, 8 public transport vehicles were removed from the roads because they were unroadworthy. The Education and Communications Officer at the Road Safety Council, Thembani Dlamini, says there is a need for stricter measures to stop road traffic accidents.
We have seen these accidents, they are escalating those days, and we believe that if everyone can use the road correctly, then we'll have less accidents. We urge motorists to be alert at all times when using the road and make sure that they are driving roadworthy vehicles. In the morning, before they can take any journey, they should make sure that they plan their trip and make a pre-trip inspection to make sure that everything that is in the car is in the right working position. And once you have planned your trip, you make sure that when you leave your home, you are in the right space. It will mean that you will arrive wherever you are going, safe and sound. As an office, we are planning to have a meeting with the town boards and municipalities in the next coming month to plan and make sure that all the roads and the streets are safe for road users. We have noticed that a lot of people go to town and some of those people don't know how the town is, so they make mistakes that leads to accidents.
The statement further states that 19 personal vehicles were found to be unroadworthy. 1,428 people were arrested for overspeeding on the same dates. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelsi Wendlangamandla with Muzi Mkonda in Babane.
The Programs Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Victor Matlalela, says their program for building houses for Eswatini whose homes were damaged during the tropical cyclone Eloise has seen over 30 houses being built in the Cyclone region alone. Matlalela said this during a house visit of one of their beneficiaries at Mvungeni.
Libandla lekuphunga tehlakalo selakhele labo laba
The Programs Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Victor Matlalela, says their program for building houses for Eswatini whose homes were damaged during the tropical cyclone Eloise has seen over 30 houses being built in the Cyclone region alone. Matlalela said this during a house visit of one of their beneficiaries at Mvungeni. Eswatini Defence Force says it will ensure that all COVID-19 safety measures put in place by government to curb the spread of the virus are well adhered to at the country's informal crossing points in anticipation of an apparent third wave of the virus. This was revealed by Eswatini Defence Force PRO Tengetile Khumalo.
Following widespread reports of the looming COVID-19 third wave, which has already begun ravaging neighboring countries, the Eswatini Defence Force Public Relations Officer Tengetile Khumalo says, as a force, they will see to it that all COVID-19 safety measures are put in place so as to curb the spread of the virus at informal crossing points. She also added that members of the Defence Force are being constantly educated about the virus so that they can apply their knowledge in protecting themselves and the nation at large.
The Eswatini Defence Force has ever since strengthened its working operations to ensure the safety of the nation. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare in the Kingdom is in constant communication with our military health services in ways of guiding and training our personnel in times like this, because these are times that have never been there before. These are all new to us.
Khumalo further urged the nation to take orders from members of the Defence Force when using the informal crossing points, as this makes the whole process smooth sailing for everyone involved. Reporting for Eswatini TV News is Msimis Lushaba and Kiani Msebi at Nogwane.
The Lubombo Region COVID-19 Awareness Task Team has relaunched its COVID-19 awareness campaigns, where it is educating people in the region about what they are expected to do to keep themselves safe from the pandemic. The relaunch took place at Sitegi Bus Rank.
On Friday last week, the acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku announced that effective from Monday, Eswatini is going back to partial lockdown level 2 in the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. On Monday, the Lubombo COVID-19 Task Team relaunched its awareness campaign, where it educates people on how to curb the spread of COVID-19. Bono Nkosi Smelane, a member of the task team, says the aim of the relaunch is to remind people of what they are expected to do to keep themselves safe.
Which means people of the Lubombo region must ensure that they abide and comply as per the COVID-19 regulations. We are here to check compliance in the transport industry, ensuring that the people are sanitized, they proper wear their mask. Even in business areas, we also ensure compliance in all the COVID-19 regulations for the people of Lubombo to stay safe from the pandemic.
Mpiake Shongwe, member of Sitegi Bus Rank team, expressed their gratitude to the task team. Shongwe says they try by all means to follow the COVID-19 regulations.
Bese kungasafanani vele nasekuqaleni kodwa ke lamhla ngoba naba siyababona bakhona lana sekuvakele ukuthi kufuna siphinde siqhubeke sibele njengakuqala. Ema sanitizers nawo lapha nje office lethu siyabathengisela lawa la ngiwo kanjalo nalabantu siyabasanitize.
Shongwe pleaded with the task team to make it a routine to remind them, as they do need to be reminded. Reporting is Tembeli Hlemakuchwa with Fumkhosi Nzinisa and Themba Shabangu at Sitegi.
And now let's have a look at our financial report. Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Associations and regional football associations affiliated under the National Football Association say whoever will be elected as the new National Football Association president must prioritize grassroots programs development and increase of sponsorships in local football. The associations also added that he should be a leader with good listening skills. They revealed this during the Football Association's meeting at Zikwakta House in Babani.
Following declarations made by three candidates, being Dr. Comfort Shongwe, Mashumi Shongwe and Peter Simelane, who are competing for the hot seat of the president of the National Football Association, to what they wish to do for the country when elected for the position of the National Football Association president. Different associations who will be electing in the general elections, being Referees Association, Coaches Association, Women Football Association, and some of the regional football associations have reacted to the declarations made by the three candidates and also went on to highlight few issues being faced by the associations. For Referees and Coaches Association, they are asking to whoever that will be taking the position to improve refereeing in the country by also regulating contracts for coaches.
Contracts phinze uma ngabe sebaya emukwa lo umsebenzi baba reimburse.
For women football, they want their voices to be heard as they look to improve women football in the country.
Lolotawuthatha funeka asivetsini ukuthi sifiseni sibambisene naye.
Lesingakuphisa sinokuthi siyishiselweni as much as kunginengele sibheke ukuthi akwente. But
for Shiselweni and Hoho Regional Football Association, they both want grassroots development programs and also support in repairing different infrastructures of football venues.
Buke kakhulu ukuthi masingahlala kakhulu kule development and le development ile kuma regions vele.
The elections will be held on the 27th of this month with the winner to sit in the office for the next 4 years. For Eswatini-TV Sports, Fabrice Msondera, Mbabane.
Eswatini National Football Association has expressed its condolences to the football fraternity, Malandi Chiefs Football Club, and most importantly to the family of Malandi Chiefs official who passed on this past Saturday at the Kilani Stadium when Malandi Chiefs was playing against Mbabane Swallows during the MTN Premier League game. According to the Chief Executive Officer of the Football Association, Frederick Mgometulu, investigations into the matter have begun.
We are still really in shock as to what happened to lose a life in a football stadium. People might say, you know, what's happened in a football stadium and what has happened. There are so many questions around it, but we'd like to assure the Football Association that we do have our medical committee that is still doing some few issues, corresponding with the family, corresponding with some of the sporting people, the football team, to try and look and establish as to what happened. But obviously we have to respect, you know, the sovereignty of a family in such cases. One may, at this point in time, like to extend our sincere condolences to Malandi Football Club and also to the Premier League under whose auspices the matches were hosted, but most importantly, the family, friends and relatives who have been affected by this. We know it's been shocking to everyone, and more so even for the people that were in the vicinity within the stadium when they witnessed such. We are just praying that God Almighty may comfort everyone that has been affected.
Well, Eswatini, that's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories.
The acting Prime Minister led Eswatini government's delegation during a political dialogue with the European Union. Eswatini has been elected to be part of the governing body of the International Labour Organization in the SADC region. The Minister for Health says the National Health Research Conference plays a major role in improving future response and informed planning and resource allocation in addressing challenges.
And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.